Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me this morning. I'm so excited to have you here. I am Laura Muirhead, and this is the Money Manifesting Fit for a Queen Masterclass. I come and say hello. So come and say hello in the comments if you're just coming on. Let me know where you are in the world. And come and say hi. Super curious where everybody is. I think I know where most of you are, but a couple of you I don't. So so happy to see everyone. And we still have some people coming in. So welcome. Come and say hello. So Jane's in Scotland. Hi, welcome. With France. Hello from Florida. Hello from cold and rainy Netherlands. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy we have sunshine here today. Sorry to rub that in. Hi, Stephanie. So you're in the UK. Perfect. Welcome. Arizona in the White Mountains. Amazing. So fun to see you all from all over the place. I'm really so thankful for everyone to join me today. I'm gonna go ahead. We might still have some people coming in, but I want to go ahead and get started. Oh, and you're from Scotland. Okay, Liam. Yeah. Welcome. Um, so I want to get started. First, I want to just introduce myself a bit and tell a bit of my background story. So I am an artist, healer, sage. I'm also the CFO and vice president of a multi-million-dollar family business. I split my time between New Jersey and Michigan. Our family business is here in New Jersey, and I have an art studio, pottery studio in Michigan. So I have, well, and because of the last few years, I'm also going to say that I am a queen money magnet. I feel like I've always been good with boundaries and money most of my life. I've been able to save money and set goals and reach my goals. Whether it was travel or, even when I was younger, a new bike or whatever it was. I've had multiple businesses. I am a multi-talented business owner. I have had businesses that have been Queen Money Magnet. Yeah, I know. It's so fun. So I've had different businesses over the years. I've worked in offices. I have had a bread store. I've had a horse stable. Um and you know now we have a ship repair business, and I have a pottery studio. So literally I wear all these different hats. Some of the businesses have been really great and some haven't gone so well. And there's an element of navigating all of that. And I also feel like people sometimes, having done so many different things, are like, oh, for heaven's sakes, can't you just have a hobby? Does everything have to be a business? And no, it doesn't have to be a business. But when I'm really passionate about something, then I go all in. And so one of the things, I feel like, especially like I said, in the past few years, I feel like I can claim the title of Queen Money Magnet. And, what has changed? What's changed over those years? In about 7 years ago, our house burned down. Our house burned down. We had purchased a house on the bay in New Jersey. It was a big dream. It was a big dream for us. And we had only lived there for 10 months when we woke up in the middle of the night to a fire. So huge declutter. At that point, I was just really starting to change my money mindset. just really starting to get on the fringes of that. And luckily, somebody that I knew who also was good with money mindset very quickly said, pay attention to what remains from the fire. So instead of going like, even, I mean, and I'm saying they told me this while the house was burning, while I was watching my house burn. This is what they told me. And luckily for me, because that is what I focused on. I focused on what remained, and we moved through that, and we never ever had a victim mentality about that. We never had a poor me mentality. And luckily, my husband didn't either. And in fact, we lived in an extended stay hotel for a month with our three dogs and our cat, as we were looking for someplace else to live. And that made all the difference. The mindset made all the difference in how we acted and how we went forward with regrouping and rebuilding our lives, and letting go of the things that were gone. So one of the things that is really important here, is the most important thing is the energy that you are working with. Are we working with negative energy? Like, we could have been like, oh my gosh, poor me, like, we don't have anything. And even now, like, one of the things I want to tell you guys too is watch the words that you use, especially around money, but in general, because we could have, sometimes my husband will say, oh, we lost everything. And I'll be like, we didn't lose everything. We didn't lose everything. And again, like, pay attention to what remains, right? So this is important. And this, even your words that you use are changing your energy. They're changing how you attract things. I mean, this is the law of attraction, but this is the vibration that you're in. And if you're going to be in a closed vibration, then like, things aren't going to happen, right? So even in my business, especially in the past few years, when in our family business, we, even though we were doing well, I had a lot of, like, I don't know, let's call it cramped energy around things. I'm the CFO. I am in charge of paying the bills and making sure that the money's there, for payroll and all these things. And sometimes the cash flow can be slow. And so when you're in this, and this is literally how I used to be, like, oh my gosh, like, are we going to be able, like, okay, I'm not going to pay this bill yet. Let me wait. Um, I do not know exactly how this has worked, but let's all agree that money is energy. Let's start with that. So money is energy, right? Especially in this world where we aren't using cash as much as we used to. So, you're moving money between bank accounts out there in the cloud, like, you're moving money to your people you're paying your bills to or whatever. So it is energy. And when I'm tightening the energy of, like, not letting go of a bill, that's not opening the container for more energy to come in, for more money to come in. So what I'm talking about here is, like, not, obviously not putting yourself into undue debt by any means, but letting go of some of the bills. Like, instead of me being like, I'm going to wait, I started being like, look, I'm going to pay this bill and the money's going to come. And we probably had the money. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't have paid the bill if we didn't have the money. I'm not going to overdraw our accounts. But by changing this, by moving the energy, more money started coming in. And now I don't feel that way. I'm not gonna say I don't use discernment when I'm paying my bills. Yes, of course, use discernment, but let the energy flow, let the money move and open the container. And maybe it is even for when you think about it, like maybe one of the things that you can do, one of the more physical things you can do to open your money container is a bank account, to say, okay, well, maybe this is my savings account for vacation, or maybe this is my business account. That's one of the more tangible physical things you can do to move the energy. There are also a lot of more energetic things you can do, like the visualizations, or imagining your money containers and things like that, that also work. Some of the money that you may have heard that over the past couple of years, I have manifested over $1.2 million in magic money. It wasn't profit from business. It was unplanned for money that came to us. And some of the things that I used in working through that and in attracting that money, number one was like changing my mindset and changing my energy, but also taking advantage of opportunities, like thank you, amazing. Yeah, thank you. Taking advantage of opportunities that presented themselves. And opening, so like I said, just very different ways of opening the container, but also being in a vibration where we are open to receiving. And that's one of the things too. Are you open to receiving? Are you a lot of people aren't good about receiving. Are you, deservability? Do you feel like you deserve? Do you deserve to have more money? And a lot of us aren't good at receiving. My husband's terrible at receiving. He's always giving, 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 giving. If somebody wants to buy him lunch, somebody wants to buy him dinner, nope. Sometimes you have to allow the other person, like allow the receiving. And so these are all things that help. One of the things that happened more recently, and some of you have heard, if you've read any of my stories, that well, and it's been almost 30 years now, I won a multiple $1 million lottery. And definitely back then I didn't know about money mindset, but there was intuition. There was intuition that led me to buying that ticket. There was also me being at the time in a good vibe. I would say in a good vibration. I was happy in my life. I wasn't in a need. I wasn't in a lack. I wasn't in a necessity mindset at that time. In fact, a few months before that, someone had said to me, like, wouldn't you want to win the lottery? And I was like, yeah, sure, of course. Like, I wouldn't turn it down, but at the same time, I'm happy with what we have. And so there's this level of like, yeah, sure, like take the money, but I was in a good place at that time. I wasn't like, oh my goodness, if I could just win the lottery, then everything would be great. So I think that played into it at the time, but also serendipity played a big role in that. But in the last, more recently, we've had another 6-figure lottery win. And I can say, like, knowing more about the money mindset and the energy of money at this point that we were really more open, and we had literally, we hadn't get that. And this is like for you guys that have businesses, like, I don't know if you are at the point where you're paying yourself in your business. Our business pays us, our family business pays us our salaries. And we hadn't, my husband and I hadn't given ourselves raises in at least 10 years, at least 10 years, because we were like, we're happy, like everything's going along. We hadn't even really thought about it. We gave ourselves permission. So here's another thing, like, give yourself permission to accept money on different levels. But we had just given ourselves permission to increase our salaries, and then had another amazing win. So I think this is a lot of it is, where are you at? What are you doing? Let me read the comments here. You've always paid yourself, even if it's tiny amount. Yeah, and that's important. It's important if you can pay yourself, because you deserve to be paid like everybody else gets paid. You deserve to get paid your time and your, you know, the value that you put into your business is, you know, you deserve to pay yourself. I think it's really important. I also believe that, you know, there's a lot of things you can do. I know Joanna Hunter, a lot of us know Joanna. She talks about doing a money dance. She talks about opening energy opening questions. These have been really big for us in the past few years. When we knew that we were getting some money in at one point, we weren't sure what the amount was going to be. And we did energy opening questions, like, what if it's more than we can imagine? What if it, and setting an intention that this will be the amount, this or more. You know, you don't have to like close that off to a specific amount. You can be this or more. And doing the happy money dance and making up a song of, like, you know, just dancing and celebrating every bit of money that comes in. I'm going to tell you another story. When I opened my pottery studio, it was 2020. It was March 20th of 2020 when I closed on the building for my pottery studio, right? Do we remember what was happening at that time? Literally, everything was starting to close down for the pandemic. We were not, I never was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me, of my life, blah, blah, blah. We just went forward. We had things to do. We were painting the building. We were redecorating the inside, laying, you know, painting inside, new flooring. We were doing things. Actually, my poor husband had to do more work than he thought he was going to have to do in there, because we were going to hire people. But we just went forward. And honestly, looking back, the pressure to not be open at a certain time, like not have the retail space open on a certain day to meet it. I mean, I literally was in the mindset of, one day I was like, oh, looks like we're ready, let's open. Since then I have had, and I literally celebrate all the wins, especially then, all the wins. Like, if somebody buys a mug, I'm like, you know, like, here we are, you know, celebrating the wins. And it doesn't matter. But looking back, because I have people who say, you know, oh, how long have you been open? You know, customers who come in. And when I tell them, they're like, oh, how was that for your business plan? And I'm like, it wasn't my business plan. That, like, nobody has, you know, on their bingo card for 2020, you know, like, let's buy a business, open a business right as everything's shutting down for a pandemic that we didn't see coming. So I feel like it was great for me, honestly. It let me grow into what I needed to grow into for having that space. It allowed me to grow into talking to people and dealing with customers instead of potentially, having conversations with people I wasn't ready for. So, yeah, it wasn't my business plan, but we're super happy with it. And I think this is what I'm talking about, the energy to come from. I also want to talk about something that really recently happened. Um, there is a uh, there's a group of people in Michigan where we live. There's a foundation that donates to a lot of charities, and supports um, a lot of local things. And there was a dinner a couple weeks ago that I attended about for honoring some of the people who have been part of that, some of the people who, are longtime members, but also people who were on the receiving end. And there is such a ripple effect of giving and donating, but uh, this is this is really big for me, is donating from the right energy, giving from the right energy. Because I think in a lot of ways, there's a lot of societal pressure that you should be giving, you should be donating, maybe even self-inflicted. Oh, I should be giving, to whatever. And again, I think you should be giving from the right energy. And when that happens, there's such a great ripple effect. And this has impressed me. That dinner that I went to impressed me so much, of the people who were there that were on the both the receiving end of the donations and the people who were giving, and their humbleness and their genuineness. I'm actually doing a podcast recording next week with the director of the foundation, and talking about that and giving from the right energy. But what I, these are the things that are really important, I think, is, but also showing yourself gratitude for yourself and your self-care, and allowing yourself to be taken care of in ways. And there's a lot of things we can do. There's so many things we can do, and these things raise our vibration, right? If we allow ourselves to maybe buy flowers, if that's your thing, maybe you like fresh flowers in your home. And that's not a huge expense that you can, I mean, it can be if you want, like, go ahead, go wild, but it can be simple, to have fresh flowers in your home, or to take yourself out for a little coffee date, or have what you want in your home that makes you feel good. Maybe have, a certain, if you hand lotion that you like, take a walk in nature, like these things. My point is that the vibration, if you're closing off and having a negative vibration, a closed vibration, with money, this clenching of energy, you're not going to be able to attract energy, right? You're not going to be able to bring it in. And it starts with yourself. It's really important. So there's something I was just thinking about that might have just slipped my mind while I was saying all that. um but this is where what I call personal policies come in too, like boundaries. And let me see what Jane's saying. You speak more about relationship between giving and receiving. Um, yeah, one of the things that I heard a story a couple years ago, and this is, and that somebody was donating their time. Okay, so time also, right? If you're feeling like, when you give your time, oh, you should, you know, give your time at whatever, at church, give your time at a 501c3, whatever it is, donate your time. There was a story that I heard about someone who was super happy to give their time. I believe it was at a church. She loved it. Would go and, felt fulfilled, went and did all the things, had, social interaction with people. But the people, pretty soon, because she loved it and was happy enough to give, and she just kept giving more and more and more, right? She'd give, more of her time. And pretty soon everyone saw that, well, if she's going to do it, then maybe I don't need to be here. Maybe we don't have to, show up so much. So she started taking on more and more, right? Because the people that were supposed to be helping with all the things realized that she was doing it. So people started slacking off and she had more on her plate to do. And that because of that, she didn't love giving anymore. She didn't love it anymore, right? And then it came more of a duty. It didn't, the energy just deflated, the energy of the balloon, the helium went out of it. It was just like, and so it started to be like, oh, I have to. And then this is where you can put in some boundaries and be like, no, I will give of my time, but it has to suit me, and I want to feel good about it. I want to feel good about that. And so this is one of the things, and this is where also the Queen Code comes in, and these are some of the reasons why I created the Queen Code, was because we do need to set boundaries and personal policies around some of these things and not feel like, I mean, this is the perfect um, alignment with the servant archetype in my Queen Code in the Queendom, and of giving, like constantly serving. And it might be your family, maybe it's your family, even it doesn't have to be, an out, maybe you're constantly like giving and taking care of the kids, or mom, or whoever, hubby, partner. um this comes into play even with friends. Like if you are not giving from, I actually had a family member a few years ago that I felt um like I was always like giving money on birthdays and Christmas. Like that's what we do, right? We give a present, or I, when the kids get older, I give money in the card. And I got to the point where I was like, oh, I just feel like I'm at the point where I'm supposed to be giving money for Christmas or birthdays. And it ended up not really being great. And so I've stopped. But there was it was hard. It was hard to stop because of the guilt and my own, pressure of having to give. But I do think if you think of giving and receiving, okay, if we imagine a figure eight, right? You don't want it to be out of balance. You don't want to be, one end of your figure eight to be bigger than the other. You don't want to be too much on the receiving end either, because like to be a, poor me taker either. Like, oh, being, like you said, being in a victim mentality of who else can give, who else can help me, and having that, telling these stories, and stories of, this is where I'm going with the Queen Code. And these are the things that the archetypes of the queendom, where they come into play, and they're really the foundation of so many things. Each archetype has a story that we may align with, that we may be telling ourselves. And the idea is, working with them to reframe, because they can be in alignment or they can be out of alignment. And if you can imagine, like if you are the queen of your queendom, which you are, whether you want to be or not, um, if you imagine like a queen who's out of alignment, she would be like going to war with everybody and doing all these things, right? These, you know, wanting to, just being nasty or whatever. But there, every one of the archetypes has a little bit different story. And when we can get them into alignment, then the queendom is running smoothly. It's not in chaos. And the queen will also be running in a gracious, powerful way. What's really one of the most important archetypes is your inner sorceress, which is your connection to your inner knowing, your intuition, your higher self, source, universe, God, whatever you want to call it. But the inner sorceress is so important. And there were times, like I said, when, you know, the, you know, the opportunities that we took advantage of have been an intuition, and you have to feel through that as well. You really want to connect in with all of that. It's really important, and a foundation of all of the things. Jane, does that sort of answer your question though about giving and receiving a little bit?
Yeah, if I can speak, because I found that the figure of 8, I've just been writing it down here. The figure of 8 was really useful. I haven't heard of it talking about it like that before. So I'm imagining one end of the figure of 8 being huge and that being giving, and then the other one being small and that's receiving, or the other way around. And the other way around, of course, when the receiving is very big, but the giving is little, it looks on the surface as though that's a really good thing because you want to receive a whole lot. But actually, I suspect that's really unfulfilling. If you're receiving, I mean, would you say that would be the case, that kind of image would be the case of these kinds of people who have loads of money but are desperately unhappy underneath? Is that the sort of thing?
It could be, yeah, it could be, for sure. If you like, it just depends on what their, what their vibration is. What are they? Yeah, if they're being, if they're feeling negative about their lives for whatever reason, it's hard to say what their situation is, but it could be like you could be in a situation where, like you said, you've got the pressure of, maybe you're not in alignment, even if you had tons of money, but you're not in alignment maybe with your job, or your, what you're doing in life, or here you are like going to work every day, making tons of money. Let me go back to this story, from the other night, or from a couple weeks ago, when I went to that dinner for the foundation. One of the programs that they were supporting, and the people they were honoring that night, were people who took part of their program, called it's called Complete Your Degree. So it's for, to help support people completing their degree, or completing even it could be a tech type position. It could be electrician. One of the gentlemen was becoming an electrician, and they were supporting him and, learning that. It doesn't have to be a college degree. One of the women who spoke had full scholarships to go to college, super smart, and wanted, her whole family. And this is where it's hard, and you've got to, honor yourself and set your personal policies. She was supposed to go, she was a young woman, she was supposed to go off to college, expected to go off to college, got really good grades. She admitted, like, I get really good grades, and, I'm really good. She had a love of music, loved music. And so she went against the grain and took advantage of this program to become a piano tuner. She loves what she's doing, and she loves the people that she serves, and she's happy. And I and I mean, like, how often do we think about piano tuners? Like, unless you have a piano, I haven't thought about a piano tuner. I was like, oh my goodness, she's a piano tuner. Of course, piano tuners are needed in this world. And I loved her story. I was so inspired by her story, because here she is. And this is what I'm saying. Find something that you're happy doing. Find something that you love doing. This is where you're serving. You're serving in alignment. And so the attraction, the money's going to come. I also see that, so hopefully that helps. But yeah, like, if you're constantly in a receiving mode, I know of some people who really, really, really live in this victim mentality, and the people around them, that ripples out as well, because the people around them are like, oh, well, they just don't have, and they don't have, and they don't have, and they need help because they don't have. Oh, okay. They have a choice just like the rest of us. They could take the steps to have more, to do more. They choose not to. They're it, whatever. So this is the same thing. Like, I don't see them living abundant lives because of that. I don't witness that. I'm not judging them. I just don't witness them living abundant lives. So what is the Queen Code? The Queen Code is my signature program that I created. Actually, Isaiah was there when the seed was planted, when the light bulb switched on. I was at a Joanna Hunter retreat in Northern Ireland, and I don't know why I was talking about the idea that businesses have policies, right? Businesses hopefully have policies. And so why don't we? Like, if you go into a business, they might have a sign that says that they only exchange merchandise, that you can't get a full return, right? You can only exchange. If you go into a bank, well, and obviously things are changing these days, but still, this would potentially still happen. If you go into a bank and you do not have an account with them, and you take in a check and you say, I want to cash this check, the bank will say, do you have an account with us? And you say, no, I don't have an account with you. They will say, I'm sorry, I can't cash your check. That's their policy. Well, as people, as humans, why don't we have policies? And why don't we have better policies? And I'll tell you right now, you do have policies, whether you boundaries. People don't like the word boundaries. I guarantee you that you do have boundaries. And I know a lot of people think that boundaries are restrictive, but they actually create freedom. They create freedom around you, and they create freedom for the people around you to know what you will accept and what you won't accept. But I call them personal policies. And I'm going to give you a really funny example. I don't know how many people eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but what does that have to do with personal policies? If you eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you might have some specific ideas, tastes around how you create a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Like, you maybe only want to use white bread. Maybe you are okay with using wheat bread. Maybe you're not. Maybe it's strictly white bread and that's it. Probably won't use raisin bread, I bet, for your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but you might. Maybe you love that. What kind of peanut butter are you going to use? Crunchy, smooth, all natural? Maybe you don't want peanut butter. Maybe you want almond butter. These are all like, what kind of jelly? What kind of jelly? Jam, jelly? Maybe you don't want fig jelly on your peanut butter jelly. Maybe you only want strawberry. This is a really funny example, but this is a personal policy. and could potentially even be boundaries. Like you might have a hard no. I never eat crunchy peanut butter. That's a hard no. That's a solid boundary. So what I did was I created the Queen Code, and it's a 6-week program around setting personal policies. And there are archetypes. There's 6 archetypes in the queendom. There's obviously the queen, there's the princess, there's the servant, the knight, and the villager. And each one has different stories that you might identify with, that you might be telling yourself. The beauty of it is that you might be okay with where the stories that you're, the level of the story that you're at with each archetype, or they might help you to change your story to a different, better story. Each week of the program goes through a different area of your life. So we touch on like self-care, we touch on relationships, finances, for example, media and where you spend your time, different things, the outside realm. And it also goes through my signature framework of question, investigate, heal, and grow. So there's a lot to this program, but it's a 6-week program that's based around, trying to change your stories to help exactly do this, to bring in more abundance in your life and to set personal policies, standards, and boundaries. So like I'll give you some more examples, like the inner sorceress we talked about is your inner guidance, your connection with source or your intuition, God, what universe. That's your soul guide. It's your best advisor. The villager, or then the queen, of course, is you. And you want to be in alignment, and you want to be you want the archetypes who are supporting your queendom to be as much of an alignment as they can be. The princess is right next to the queen. But like you might identify with the princess as in imposter syndromes, or maybe you're finding that you might be too precious to want to follow up with customers and clients. That's an example of the princess. She's still learning to become the queen. The servant, we talked about as far as like being in servitude versus joyful service. That's the difference between the servant. The knight is protecting and maybe even barricade. Let's imagine barricading the doors and not wanting to spend money. Like the knight can be a protector, but can also, when when the knight's not in alignment, it's not pretty. Villager is someone who, when they're not in alignment, is like, I'm always working so hard and I never get ahead. But they also can, move that story and be in, happily working. So what I am going to offer you guys, I've never done this before. The pre-work of the Queen Code is a full week on meeting the archetypes and getting to know them, a deep dive into them. I've never done this before. I'm going to offer you guys that week to get to know the archetypes at special price. So it's going to be $33 for you guys, just for a limited time. You can get in on meeting the archetypes, and you'll get the workbook from the Queen Code program. You'll get my higher self meditation, and you can get a nice step up on what's happening with the archetypes. That's what I'm offering as part of this masterclass. You're also going to get in your email, I created a PDF that talks about, briefly touches on each archetype and what they look like when they're in alignment and when they're out of alignment. So I think that is about everything that I have for you guys. I want to thank everyone for coming to this class. If you're watching on the replay as well, I'm going to open up the questions for question and answer if you guys want to stay on. But I just want to thank you for coming today and being part of the masterclass. So I'm just looking at Kathleen. What's been interesting is I had no problem making money in corporate, but my business has been more of a roller coaster. So that's where I need to focus. Yeah, you need to go, but thank you so much. Well, and Jane, you'll get an email with the PDF and the replay. And if you have any questions, just reach out to me. I'm happy to have. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole different ball game. I feel like if you're corporate versus self-employed. I mean, obviously that's a whole different ball game, and a whole different ball game of receiving. And thanks, Liam. I'm just going to read Liam's comment too. I so need to hear all of this. I have customers who aren't paying and owing more and more money, but the fear of asking is worse than actually having the money in my hand. I'm going to get to you in a minute, Liam. Let me finish with Kathleen. So I think that, and working for yourself is so different than corporate, because when you work for corporate in general, you're getting a paycheck every week. You can say, this is my value. You might even go and say, I need a raise, I deserve a raise, blah, 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 blah. Right. But when you work for yourself, there's a level of opening that up for what, again, the deservability. You deserve to be paid for your time. You deserve to be paid for that's one of the things that I meant to mention too, is that when you're, think about when you're setting your prices, or if you're doing, let's say, if I know some people do live workshops, if you're going out and doing that, and you're going in with feeling like you're not making enough, and feeling like, oh, I'm going to go do this, whatever the thing is, a workshop for the day. And maybe the way your pricing is, or whatever it is, if you're in a F my life vibe about doing your thing, it's not good. You've got to open up your energy and their deservability. Maybe it's permission, again, to be paid, or to accept the money, to set your price where you deserve, right? And yet we also have to do free. So it's kind of a paradox. We need to do free, but we need to ask for what we want, right? So when you're doing free, I don't know if you have to set what feels good about free to you. I have people who come in my studio who are like, well, what's on sale? Guess what? Nothing's on sale today. And that's not going to pressure me into making something on sale for you. This is where policies and boundaries can come in really well. But even if you decide that, to do something for free, don't go in with I have to, this is again, the donation thing. Don't go in with I have to give something for free. You don't. I set my price and my sales for what I feel is good for my, especially my studio, but in my other world too. If a customer in our business is asking for a discount, let's find out if we want to give them a discount or not. Maybe we will. Are you a good customer? Do we have repeat business? Do you pay us on time? Do you pay us late? Guess what? If you are a PIA customer, maybe you get the opposite treatment. So this is stuff that this is your personal policies, your business policies, your boundaries. So, that's one thing. Liam, you deserve to get paid. And it is hard to go chasing the customer, but you have an agreement, you agreed to exchange, and this is, physical exchange, but an energy exchange as well. You have an exchange where you said, Liam sells crystals, in case y'all didn't know. He is a crystal expert. You said, I have this beautiful crystal that I want to, oh, I have this beautiful crystal that I would love for you to buy from me. And this is my price for this crystal. If they agree to the price for this beautiful crystal, this beautiful dragon, if you agree to my price, then that's the exchange, right? If they're not paying you and you're holding back that crystal because you've reserved it for them, which rightly so, but they're not going to pay you for it, it should go to somebody else. You deserve to be paid. And I know you, and I know your heart, and you want those people who say, I'm going to pay you to have an opportunity to pay, but you deserve to be paid. And a little reminder, a little kick in the butt to say, hey, I'm still waiting for your payment. They honestly might have just forgot. They might have just been busy. They might have, have it on their to-do list and haven't gotten to it. And maybe by you reminding them, it boots you to the top of their list. I can tell you for sure, in our business, we send out statements. I send out statements to our customers. We send them out every week. Sometimes for the people who are being a little PIA, I might send it a little more than that. And especially if they start to get a little bit more delinquent, then I start to get a little ruffled, and I'm like, hey, the squeaky wheel is going to get the grease, and I'm ready to be greased. Send me the money. So, yeah. I don't know if you guys have any other questions. Oh, before you go, I want to, if you guys want to stay on, I am doing a giveaway. My giveaway is a free money energy session, a Queen Code money energy session with me. I want to put you guys, you're welcome, Liam. I can kick your butt more later if you want. So, yeah. So I just have to I'm going to put you guys in here. I have a little online appy app thing to pull your names, but I want to put everybody who's been in here live in the, if you guys give me a minute, I'll put you all in. So this is like literally a click to spin, and your names are all going to go like around and around, and it's like the Wheel of Fortune. So, I just want to double check I have everybody. Okay. Click to spin. Christy Iris, come on down. You are the new winner of an energy session with me. So we'll get that scheduled. We'll work that out between us. But yeah, so just a reminder, watch your emails for the PDF, and the replay, and the money, Meet the Archetypes deep dive at the special pricing. So if you guys want to get in on that, and meet the archetypes, go a little deeper. Just before we wrap up, do you have any other questions? Like, is there anything else? Let's see. Am I missing? No. Didn't know if I'm missing anybody. Just want to let you, if you have any other questions, let me know. I'm here for you guys if you want to reach out, if you think of something later, but I am so appreciate you guys being here. I love you all for showing up, and I will talk to you all soon.